Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello and welcome to The Human Element. My name's Nicole Morris. I'm the founder and managing director of Human Tribe and your host for the Human Element series. Today we're here to talk about why it pays to embrace diversity. Now, in reality, we're all part of diverse communities right now, and we get it intuitively that diversity matters. But what we now also know that organisations that embrace diversity actually perform better financially. McKinsey published an article in 2015 that stated gender diverse organisations on average perform 15% better than organisations that don't embrace gender diversity. Furthermore, ethnically diverse organisations are 35% more likely to outperform their competitors that don't embrace ethnic diversity. So there's certainly a business case for diversity, but it's so much more than that. I am beyond excited and actually a little bit humbled by our guests that we have here to talk about diversity today. First of all, we have Chris Lamb. Chris is the Group Head of Talent for Lend-Lease. In 2015, Chris was awarded by the Australian Human Resources Institute the Diversity Champion Award. Also joining us today, we have Lisa Annese. Lisa is the CEO of the Diversity Council Australia. Chris and Lisa, welcome to the Human Element. Nicole. And I meant what I said. I really am looking forward to today because I think, like a lot of people, I intuitively get that diversity matters and that it makes good business sense, but I recognise it's probably not something that I've been consciously thinking about and consciously implementing in my business. So I think I'm going to learn as much today as our viewers are. So what I'd really like to start with is what exactly are we talking about when we say diversity?
Well, diversity really is an umbrella term that includes anything that makes one person different from another. And we all have a whole series of identifiers, and we can view ourselves through the lens of many prisms. So diversity includes, but it's not limited to, things like our gender identity, our cultural background and our cultural identity, or our race, religion, our age, our sexual orientation. I mean, these are all areas protected by law, but it also includes the way we think, maybe our class background or our socio-economic background, and all of these things create the person that we are. I mean, we're not one thing. We're not just, a man or a woman. We are a female and with a cultural background, with an age, with all sorts of dimensions attached. So diversity really is about what every individual is made up of.
That's it, it's difference. And if you think about it in the context of work, it's everything that we bring to work with us, all our experiences, everything that's brought us to the point we are in our lives. And for the work context and the work perspective, it's about what do you do with that when someone gets to work? You've got a unique individual there, and how do you bring that difference to life to the benefit of your organisation?
Gee, I think a lot of businesses, when you say diversity, they think about gender. Is that what you find as well? Initially, people think about gender, but it's so much more than that?
Well, yeah, we do find that, but it is important to recognise that that's a very big area because women are not a minority group. So it's a very critical part of the diversity experience for organisations and of the business case for diversity. So yes, diversity is so much more, but gender is an important part
of that. Yeah.
Absolutely, and gender is important. And as Lisa said, when we're talking about women in the workplace, women are the one group in society who aren't a minority. So other diversity segments you're talking about, often you are talking about minority groups, and it's about how to give them a greater voice. With women, that shouldn't be where we are, but we are.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do default to that and say, well, if we're looking at creating a gender diverse team, then that's it, isn't it? We've ticked the box for diversity. But as we touched on, and as Lisa said, there's so much more to the experience that people bring, and gender's just one piece.
So what does an organisation that embraces gender diversity, or not gender diversity, here I am talking about gender, what is an organisation that embraces diversity? What do they look like? What are they doing?
Well, I think they can look like anything, but firstly, you've got to accept that people do bring differences to work and not try and create a homogenous culture in the organisation and try and have everyone act and behave in the same way. So recognising that people bring differences is a start.
Yes.
I think for an organisation to be progressive, they've really got to be monitoring what's going on in their organisation. So that might mean goals around diversity, that might mean specific plans, that might mean talking to segments of their employees and finding out what's working and what's not working. But I think ultimately what we're trying to do is create an environment where everyone can be themselves at work, bring their whole self to work and contribute in a way that is authentic for them and adds value to the organisation.
What do you, and this has come up in episodes that we've been filming for the Human Element, and we talk about fit with the cultural fit with an organisation, and obviously we're not talking about hiring clones. Often when we talk about that conversation, it's about maybe a value alignment with the value of the organisation. Can you talk to us about that? Because I know that you might have a different spin on that when it comes to diversity.
Look, cultural fit I think is actually one of the most abused terms in the corporate world, because it's often code for, well, we didn't hire them because we didn't think they were a good cultural fit, which means they weren't like the people who were already in the organisation. So in my view, certainly it's important to hire someone who is going to work in your company. You don't want to hire someone who's going to create chaos and mayhem. But just limiting yourself to people that kind of look like the experience profile you've hired before and kind of sound like the people that already work for you is really limiting for your organisation, and limiting in terms of breadth of ideas and the ability to be creative in the organisation. We have this kind of assumption that people who are like us will be easier to work with and will be easier to manage. Often that's not the case. And that feeling you can get from someone when you meet them for the first time that's warm and comfortable and friendly doesn't at all mean that they're going to be a good employee. And doesn't at all mean that they're going to add value to your organisation. And I'm sure we can all think of someone who we've worked with who's been a real pain, but really, really productive. And often that's a good thing to look for.
And you look at the stats that we just spoke about, right? So if you're gender diverse, you're 15% more likely to outperform. If you're ethnically diverse, you're 35% more. So the results kind of speak to that, right? The more diverse you are, the better results you're going to get.
Well, it makes common sense. And just to add to what Chris was saying, the concept of cultural fit and the concept of hiring diversity, they're underestimated concepts in terms of their degree of complexity and difficulty. And I think this is often where people go wrong, because it is actually quite hard to be someone who is naturally good at this. There's a view that, if you're a manager, that you'll just automatically be a great manager of all people. The evidence really suggests that people need to learn these skills, and organisations need to invest in developing people to learn these skills, because it's actually quite hard. And you don't have to think too far. Most people can think about what it was like to be in the playground or to be themselves in the workplace, and understand how complex dynamics between two individuals can be. So if you create further complexity by having more diversity, it naturally creates the need for higher skills. So the important thing for organisations to realise is that the business case overwhelmingly supports the need to improve our talent so that people can do this better, even if it doesn't feel natural. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I think for leaders, the skill in managing a diverse team is not one we're born with. There are leadership traits maybe in life that come kind of naturally, but many of them you need to develop. And managing diverse teams is part of that. And it starts with maybe tolerance of diversity and just accepting that diversity is okay. But you've got to move beyond that. You've got to get from tolerance to understanding and valuing the diversity that people bring, and then creating an environment where actually they can bring that out at work. A lot of people think that having a diverse team is enough, and if you've got a group of people who are gender diverse or culturally diverse or whatever, that will give you a benefit. But you've got to harness that power, and to Lisa's point, if you're not leading them in a way that enables them to be themselves, then you might have a diverse team who all feel that they've got to behave in the way that the organisation wants them to.
And truly, then you're like ticking your box. Yay, we're
Yeah.
diverse.
Yeah.
But
See, sometimes organisations impose their blueprint on a dominant culture, and people see what leadership looks like, and so they feel they need to conform
To that.
I mean, a
Yeah.
classic example is the long hours work culture.
Yeah.
So people
Yep.
think, oh, well, I can't leave until, the senior executive leaves or the manager or the boss leaves. And, you as a leader, you set that example. You enable or allow people, you give them permission to be themselves by being yourself
Yes.
as well,
Yep.
and by being authentic. So rather than grabbing your attaché and pretending you're going to a meeting, you can say, I'm going to the school carnival.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
a dad.
Yep.
I
Yes.
mean, that's a great example to set in the
Yes.
workplace. And then people beneath you, in terms of their level or their hierarchy in the organisation, think, well, it's okay for me to do that.
yeah.
That happens slowly. So our culture is built every minute, every day, by every interaction that one individual has with another. And it's multiplied 1,000 times,
Yeah.
and it builds our culture. And that blueprint that organisations have about, well, this is what's acceptable behaviour and this isn't. It's in the air of organisations. So if you want to change the culture, you have to start with the leadership and with making it okay to be diverse.
Yeah.
And a simple example of that, we had one of our leaders up on stage, an audience of 500 people a couple of years ago, and he ran off stage and said, Chris, sorry, I've got to go. I've got to go and see the athletics carnival at school. And I said, why didn't you tell that story when you're on stage?
Yes.
And next time he did. And the power
Of
in
that.
that and giving people permission to do that
Yeah.
is, transformational in an organisation.
I love it. Absolutely. So thanks so much, guys. This has definitely been some interesting stuff that we can all learn from. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the business case for diversity. My name's Nicole Wales, and you're watching The Human Element. Hello and welcome back to The Human Element. Today we're joined by Chris and Lisa, and we're talking about how. Sorry. Tell me when I can go again. Why? Yep. Hello and welcome back to The Human Element. Today we're talking to Chris and Lisa about why it pays to embrace diversity. What I'd love to talk to now is the business case for diversity. So what are the benefits for us embracing diversity?
Well, I think for some organisations it differs. So sometimes you look at it from an...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.